One of the most important factors of Destiny 2 is making sure you are using the right guns for the right activity to make it just that little bit much easier. Especially when you get into the harder content like, Grandmaster Nightfalls, contest, raids, all these dungeons and whatnot, you definitely need to be using the right guns to make your life as easy as possible. Now, obviously, with a massive catalogue of weapons in Destiny 2, it can be extremely hard to know which ones you should be using. So on my channel, I love to cover some of the best guns to be using with, what changes in and out of the meta and what weapons you should be using for certain activities. So on my channel in the past few weeks here, I've posted plenty of weapon guide videos on my channel, so go ahead and check them out if you haven't seen them. However, specifically in today's video, I'm going to be covering the top 7 best primary weapons that you should be using right now in the current season heading into the Edge of Fate DLC. Now, I just want to clarify, these 7 weapons are my personal opinion. You can go ahead and drop your 7 recommendations down in the comments below to help other Guardians out as well. You may disagree with some of these, but like I said, this is my opinion. Your opinion is also valid, so drop it in the comments down below of your top 7 primary weapons to be using in Destiny 2 right now. But without further ado, let's get into this list, and in no particular order, let's start off with weapon number 1 here, the Word of Crota. Now, this Word of Crota obviously comes from the Crota's End raid, specifically coming from Crota himself and the Yut encounters. This weapon can also be crafted, which will make your life easier when, getting that god roll. You don't need any RNG. You can just straight away craft it with the perfect god roll. Now, the god roll for this weapon is obviously Repulsor Brace and Destabilizing Rounds. These 2 perks together are just completely broken, and they are definitely my 2 favorite perks to be pairing together right now in Destiny 2. Now, these 2 perks work extremely well together. Now, the way Repulsor Brace works is defeating a void debuff target will grant you an overshield. And the way Destabilizing Rounds works is after you kill an enemy, it's going to make every other enemy around them volatile, or also known as a void debuff. So your first kill is going to make everything volatile. From here on out, anything you kill is going to, give you an overshield through Repulsor Brace. But not only that, they are also going to explode from being volatile from the Destabilizing Rounds perk. And these 2 perks together are just amazing in any PvE content. You've got a constant uptime of an overshield, and you're also exploding everything on the map. And this hand cannon is extremely satisfying to use. Moving on here into weapon number 2, I've chosen the Midnight Coup. Now, I've chosen the Midnight Coup because it is obviously a hand cannon, and hand cannons are some of the best primary weapons in the game. Unfortunately, the likes of scout rifles, pulse rifles, they just aren't really it. Hand cannons and submachine guns are definitely the GOAT of Destiny 2, and everyone's been using them now for many, many years. And unfortunately, pulse rifles and scout rifles just aren't as good, so the meta is definitely revolving around hand cannons. And the Midnight Coup is definitely one of the better hand cannons in the game to be using. With an amazing, amazing perk pool, no matter when you're farming this gun, there's a very high chance you're going to get 2 very good perks to use on this weapon. However, in my opinion, my personal favorite role is Explosive Payload and Frenzy, purely because it's just easy to use. You can pull it out, you don't need to worry about proccing any perks, doing anything special. All you do is you pull it out and it's got free double damage boosting perks. So firstly, Explosive Payload buffs the damage by about 15%, and then Frenzy as well will also buff this weapon's damage by about 15%. So you pair these 2 together, you've just got a great weapon that hits very hard with these 2 perks, increasing your damage output. Now, the Midnight Coup is extremely easy to farm. All you have to do is go to Zavala in the tower, and then go ahead and attune to the Midnight Coup. Now, whenever you do some sort of Vanguard activity, you have an increased chance of this weapon dropping. You do strikes, Vanguard ops, whatever it is, it's very, very common to drop in these sorts of activities. And you should definitely be doing these activities for certain things in the game, like the Queenbreaker's Bow Catalyst. Plenty of other reasons why, but the Midnight Coup is extremely easy to farm, and you should definitely get one under your belt. Moving on here into weapon number 3, a very easy one for everyone to obtain if you don't already have this weapon. It is the Multimac CCX. Now, this weapon is so easy to obtain. All you have to do is go to the tower, speak to the gunsmith, and just buy the god roll for pretty much free. Yes, it's literally that easy. Now, for some reason, if you can't do that or it's just not there, you will have to go ahead and jump into the Iron Banner to farm this weapon out. But Bungie gave us a free Multimac God Roll at the gunsmith right now, so go and grab it if you haven't. Now, what makes this weapon so good is the God Roll of Attrition Orbs and Kinetic Tremors. Now, Attrition Orbs is just by far one of the best perks in the game. It is slowly getting up there to an S tier perk. All you have to do is hit 75% of the magazine on the enemy, and it is going to spawn an Orb of Power. This is just amazing for any activity. Spawning orbs for your team, gives you armor stacks, it can give you health back, it can give you an overshield. Whatever it is, spawning an Orb of Power is extremely viable and very useful for any of your teammates in every activity of the game. Pairing this with Kinetic Tremors as well will also just give you a flat damage boost to the weapon. Specifically on this submachine gun, all you need to do is hit 14 shots for Kinetic Tremors to proc. Now on this submachine gun, if you're running the mod backup mag, which you should be, and any sort of, magazine perks that you may have, you should be able to get this magazine up to or over 40 bullets, meaning you can proc Kinetic Tremors at least 3 times with one magazine, and this does a pretty hefty amount of damage to the target you're shooting, and also any other targets around them, as it does an AoE, sort of shockwave pulse damage. It is a very, very useful weapon, and if you aren't using it, definitely pull it out of the vault, get the dust off it, and definitely start using it. Moving on here into weapon number 4, yes, you guessed it, we picked another hand cannon, and that is the Zis Bane. Now I promise this is the last hand cannon on the list. I can't leave my boy Zis Bane off this list. It is by far just one of the best hand cannons in the game right now, and it has been for many, many seasons. This weapon is just completely busted. It's pretty much the solar counterpart of, a Word of Crota, or basically a mini Sunshot, pretty much an exotic as a legendary. Now this weapon does come from the King's Fall raid, specifically Oryx and also the Daughter's Encounters, but the best part about this gun is the god roll being Explosive Payload and Incandescent. Now these two perks are very, very useful together. Like I said earlier, Explosive Payload just gives it a 15% damage boost, and then obviously Incandescent, whenever you kill them, they just blow up in a massive solar burst. This will also apply Scorch to any enemies around them, so if you do enough, Incandescent procs, you can actually ignite an enemy off the Scorch stacks, with a little help from your subclass as well if you're running Solar. The Zis Bane is just extremely useful. Everyone's been using this. There isn't much to say here. It's just one of the best hand cannons in the game to be using. Moving on here into weapon number 5, I have chosen the No Survivors submachine gun from the current Right to the 9 dungeon, specifically the Ghost of the Deep dungeon, which is active right now just for a couple more days until the weekly rotation is over. Now the god roll for this weapon, in my opinion, is Incandescent and Heal Clip. Now I definitely have a personal sweet spot for Incandescent and Heal Clip on the exact same gun. If I ever see these two perks available on a gun, I straight away want to get it and put it in my vault, as it is just an amazing perk combination to have. I can't even count, the amount of times that a Heal Clip has saved me or my fire team members in, any sort of contest, day one, raid, dungeon, whatever it is, even this new ultimatum mode in, the Ghost of the Deep. Heal Clip is just the GOAT. It's by far one of the best perks in the game, and you should definitely have a few weapons ready in your vault to pull out with Heal Clip on them, and the No Survivors is definitely one of those weapons. Now if you haven't realized, or if you haven't played Destiny for quite a while now, they recently buffed Heal Clip to give you 2 times cure, and then also cure all of your allies around you for 1 times cure. And this is roughly around 70% of your health, or give or take about 2/3 of your health bar. It is extremely easy to use. All you have to do is get a kill and then quickly reload. Especially on a submachine gun, get some magazine perks that makes you reload really fast. Kill a quick enemy, reload, you're going to heal yourself and heal all your allies. It's just the GOAT perk. I can't stop talking about it. Obviously, and then you pair this with Incandescent just for some free extra damage to help you proc that Heal Clip. It's just a very, very good weapon to have. Moving on here into weapon number 6, I have chosen the Graviton Lance. Now this is an OG exotic. It's been in the game now for pretty much the entire lifespan of Destiny 2. We've all been using the Graviton Lance for many, many years now. It's just by far one of the best pulse rifles in the game. You pair it with any Void subclass, you're just hitting everything like trucks. It's exploding from, the black hole. It's just a very valid, very good exotic weapon to be using. I don't have much more to say about the Graviton Lance. We all know about it. You should definitely be using it or, ready to pull it out at any means necessary. Moving on now into our last weapon for this list, I've chosen the Prosecutor, which comes from the Prophecy dungeon, which fortunately for us, after this weekly reset, we will be able to get into this dungeon through the Rite of the Nine activity and start farming adept versions of this gun. And it's so far been my favorite auto rifle to be using, and I still don't even have the specific gold roll that I've been chasing. I've been extremely unlucky, but fortunately for me, I should be able to farm this out next week and get the adept version with my favorite gold roll. Now the gold roll that I'm going to be choosing is Dragonfly and Vault Shot. Now these two perks together is just an AoE shredding machine gun. Vault Shot is just going to chain lightning around the room every time you reload after a kill. It also applies Jolt to the enemies, just meaning massive damage for you. And then on top of this, if you run it with Dragonfly, every time you kill an enemy with a headshot, they're going to explode in a massive arc, burst of damage because the weapon is obviously arc. These two perks together just work hand in hand. Lots of chain damage, lots of AoE damage. It's going to deal with a room of adds in a matter of seconds. Very, very solid auto rifle to be using here. But anyway, Guardians, that will pretty much wrap the list up there. There are my top 7 primary weapon picks to be using in Destiny 2 right now. Thank you so much for watching, and if you did enjoy this video, feel free to drop a like, subscribe, comment down below, and let me know what your top 7 primary weapons are that you're using in Destiny 2 right now. But again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.